Hi, it's Brita Fletcher coming to you from my backyard, but also from Ponderosa FFA Floral. My son Jack is helping me today with taping and directing. And I'm going to do 3 videos today of projects that hopefully my students can try at home while we're doing social distancing, but also that you might want to try or do with your younger kids if you have young kids with you at home. And so we're just trying to continue to spread beauty throughout the world through floral design and learn some marketable skills. That's our goal here today. So the first video I'm going to do today is on making a flower wrap. And it's also a pageant bouquet. Our day today is all about bouquets and how to put bouquets together that a bride might carry, the homecoming queen, bridesmaid, but then also you could put them in a vase and give them away to someone. So we're going to go from simplest to most complex. And so this is the pageant bouquet, and I find it to be the simplest one to do. And eventually we'll wrap it. And so I have some beautiful flowers here with me today, but I'm also trying to just use some household products. I'll get my flowers prepped while I'm talking to you. If you don't know, when roses are growing, the outside petals that are protecting the bud are called guard petals, and they protect that flower bud from insects or disease or weather or mechanical bruising or cuts that could happen from plants around them or in transit and so on. So usually the guard petals are going to be left on. And sometimes people leave them on because they can add some really pretty color differentiation. Like they might be greener than the actual color of the rose. But in this case, I have some that are bruised and some that are torn, and I'm gonna go ahead and take off those guard petals. This is not best practice, by the way, that I have my flowers laid out on the table here. We're always trying to keep our bacterial counts low, and this is covered with bacteria. So it would be better if I had these in a vase, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing, and I want to be able to work very quickly. And so not necessarily everything is ideal as we're working here in the backyard. So I'm going to take my guard petals off. This is Status, and you might be familiar with Status. It's a very long-lasting flower that looks good when it dries. And that's what I looked for in particular today, were long-lasting flowers. And so you can see how it branches. And we're not going to make a bouquet that is that tall. If we would look at our roses, they're not that tall. So I can go ahead and break this down a couple of times and actually make it into 3 pieces so that we are increasing the amount of material that we have to use. So some of this just is learning, like that one is a little broken, so I'm going to break that off. Just learning how to use your materials in the best way, and that probably comes from experience, and then knowing a little bit about how to handle specific materials. So this is Status, and then we have Leather Leaf, which is a very standard green. I'm going to use a paper bag from the grocery store for my wrap today. It's certainly not the prettiest thing you could use. I don't have any wrapping paper left from Christmas, but that might be a good idea if you have any wrapping paper around your house, or a piece of burlap, or if you are a seamstress and you have fabric in your house. That would be a really cute way to wrap up a bunch of flowers to give away to someone, kind of brighten their day. But in any case, the reason why I think this is the easiest bouquet to make is because you don't have to hold it. You can make it on the table. So what I'm going to do is, whatever kind of piece of paper you use, I'm going to take this corner of the paper and I'm going to line up my line there of my background green. So see how that comes to a nice point on the leather leaf? So that's why this is a good green for a lot of our practice. We can see the definite line. And what I'm doing, it's just like if you were painting and you were going to prepare your canvas on your painting before you really laid out your idea, is you need a foundation. And so this leather leaf green is counting as my foundation. And that's how we typically use greens in the floral industry. They're often the background. It's a little windy out here today, so I try to hang on to everything. So I'm going to put all my greens. I put in 4 pieces of leather leaf here in the back, but this could be any green that you have around your house. And again, that's why I thought this might be a good project, because you don't have to have the same flowers that I do. You can use anything that you can forage from your house or your neighbors. It could end up to be an all green bouquet, and you're just practicing technique and you're practicing skills. And then someday you will have the exact materials that you want. So if you look at what I'm doing here, I'm gonna say I have about 5 inches beyond this bag corner or this paper corner at the most. You don't want your whole bouquet to be falling out, bless you, falling out of your wrap. And so you don't want all the weight to be very heavy on the end there. I'm gonna put in some of our filler in the back here, which is the status. And then I'm gonna put in the stars of the show. In floral design, we often like to use odd numbers. And so for my main focal flowers here today, I have these lovely roses, and I am gonna use 3. We feel that odd numbers are more natural. That's what we would typically find in nature. My roosters are making themselves known. And so we tend to use odd numbers as well. Jack, if you'll stand up and just show what we have going on here in terms of a composition. And so we have our background of our greens, we have filler spread randomly throughout, and then we have our 3 main flowers where we can see them. I made those into a triangle, and I made one of those roses continue the line or the corner of our bag. So here's the corner of our leatherleaf fern, and there's our rose that is following along that same line. So at this point, I want to be able to wrap this like a present if I was going to give it away. If you want to make a pageant bouquet, then you would just bind this at this point, and then someone can carry that in this way. We don't see that as commonly, but sometimes brides want that. It's a fashion, it's a trend, a style, and so it'll come back around. At some point, brides will want that again. And as we said, okay, so at this point, again, I don't have my whole bouquet falling out of the corner of the paper. I just have about 5 inches coming out so you can actually see the bouquet. I did go ahead and cut this piece of paper into more of a square. That is the best shape I have found to do the wrap. And at this point, if you're familiar with making a burrito, it's kind of like that. So you're going to take this opposite corner of the bouquet and you're going to fold that in. And of course, it depends on how long you need the bouquet to last. So I am making this as if I was gonna go give it to someone immediately. So it's fine that it doesn't have a water source for a while. But if you are giving it to someone in the morning and they need to hold it over all day, you can of course put some wet paper towels or a piece of wet fabric here, put it inside of a plastic bag or saran wrap, rubber band, give it a little water source. I'm sure that you're familiar with doing that since we were kids. That's how we used to deliver flowers to the neighbors or whoever. So take this corner of the paper, bring that up, then you're gonna bring this side of the paper around, okay? And then sometimes I fold this in if it looks like it's gonna stick out the other side. I'm gonna pull this side around. So see, they've crossed there in the center. And then I wanna make this look nice and neat on the back. So this gets a little bit like wrapping a present. I'm gonna fold that over. At this point, you could put a piece of tape here if you wanted to, or decorative tape, or you can just try to hold it in place. But we have this nice little package here. And then you can decide how you would like to bind this together, because we want it all to stay together. So you could use a piece of raffia like this, keep it rustic looking. At this point, when you go to tie it, you want to be about halfway down the bouquet. And you want to, I call it giving it a waist. This is your mechanic. This is what is holding everything together, since it's really just a loose bouquet in there. So you want to go ahead and pull it tight at this point. Because that will keep your flowers from slipping around in transport. Or of course, I could try to pick up some of this orange that I have in this rose. You could put a ribbon on it instead. And then you just have this nice little bouquet, make sure that your ribbon ends are cut at an angle so they don't fray. You know, those are the little details that make you a better florist. And you have a pageant type of bouquet that you could go ahead and present to someone. So that's our first type of bouquet. Thank you.